Hi, this is Jeannie from Trendy, and today I'm going to repurpose a wreath. This was a Christmas wreath that I had made previously, and it had a black and white Season's Greeting sign and some big bows. It had red snowflakes and so forth. So what I've done is gone ahead and taken the bows and the sign off, and I'm going to add a new sign. This is a rustic metal Valentine sign. It's kind of a dark red, and it's sort of like peeling paint, and it's just real rustic looking. And then I've picked out 4 ribbons. The first one is RG882724, and I called it check, but it's really described as a black and white glitter stripe. It's 2.5 inches. And then I have a Valentine ribbon, and that number is 11015-4012, and I'll write these numbers down and have them in a list for you too. And this is a 1.5 inch ribbon. All the ribbons came from Trendy, of course. All the supplies that we use in our tutorials come from Trendy. RG0178-302. It's a black, and it has red and white glitter polka dots. And then I have one more 1.5 inch. I used this the other day, but I think I'll still have enough to finish this wreath. It's a red and white stripe glitter. It's a real icy looking glittery stripe, so I think that will work well for this Valentine's wreath. So the base wreath, sorry, that's very noisy. I will give you the link to the tutorial where I made the basic wreath. It's made out of white fabric mesh and then also white snowed mesh. It's just a ruffle technique, very basic, but I'll give you the link to that. So we're going to start with this already made. And what I was thinking was that I would put the sign to one side and maybe put a couple of big bows opposite from it. I thought I would put the sign on the right side since it's kind of bigger on this side versus this side. But there's lots of different ways you could do it. You can put it, right in the middle, or, off to the side, just any way that you want to. But that's where I thought I would start. The first thing I'm going to do is put some ribbon strips on the wreath. And I'm going to cut those 13 inches. So I'm going to go ahead, there's 18 twists on the wreath, so I'm going to cut 18 pieces of ribbon. I'm going to cut 18 of each one for ribbon strips. Now to speed up the cutting, I'm going to use a board that has some markings. This one is 13 inches. You can cut your ribbon strips 13 inches or 14 inches. This comes from Hot Mesh Mom, and I'll give you a link to that. But it just kind of speeds things up. If you take your ribbon, and I'm just going to drop that in the floor and just wrap that around. I'm not going to try to cut all 18 at one time, but I'm going to do 3 or 4 loops with that and cut my ribbon, and then cut it again. Okay, now once I have my 13-inch strips, I'm going to dovetail the end of those ribbons, so I'm going to do like 2 pieces at a time. Just going to fold them together and then fold them again lengthwise, and then cut across that folded edge. Do that on both ends. Of course, you always want to pre-measure your ribbon strips. I know that 13 will work okay on this, but if it's a new technique or a new mesh or that sort of thing, always just cut a ribbon strip and see if it's the length that you want. It's okay if they're too long, you can always shorten them. But if they're too short, they'll just kind of get buried in your mesh and you won't be able to see them. Now on my 1.5 inch ribbons, I usually just cut those ribbons at an angle. But what you'll always want to do, that little folded in piece of ribbon, you just might as well go ahead and cut that off and get it out of the way, because it's never going to straighten out. And I'm just going to cut that 1.5 inch ribbon at an angle, and then I'm going to cut my 13-inch pieces of it. Now typically when I make a wreath, I always start with new rolls of ribbon. Well, I got bored the other night and wanted something to do, so I went ahead and I used up some of my ribbons that I'm showing you today. So for that purpose, I only cut 9 strips of the Valentine ribbon because I want to make a fairly large bow. So I'm going to use my Valentine ribbon, what's left of it, to make that big bow. I did cut 18 strips of the red and black glitter, and I have just, a few inches left of that. And I cut 18 strips of the red and white, which took all of that ribbon, so I won't have any of that to go in my bow. And then I have 18 of the polka dot. So each twist will have a cluster of ribbons, but every other twist won't have the Valentine ribbon. So I'm just going to start and pick up the 2.5 inch ribbon, fold it in half, find my center point, and then pinch that up. And then I'm going to lay one of the 1.5s on top of that. I'm going to find that center point also. Lay that on top and pinch that up. And then another one of the 1.5 ribbons. Each time I'm going to fold it and find my center and pinch it up. And just kind of spread those ribbons out. And I'll just have a cluster of ribbon. So now I'm going to start on my wreath, and I'm just going to start on the outside and find a twist. I'm not going to undo the twist. I'm going to lay that cluster of ribbons down, and I'm going to take the twist and just twist around that. And then kind of spread those ribbons out again. I want to make sure that I have my right side up on the ribbons. And you can just kind of put your fingers on them and kind of give them a little curl so that they won't just stick straight out. And that's what the ribbon cluster will look like. And then in the next ribbon cluster, I'm going to use the Valentine ribbon. I'll start with the black and red check. Find my center, pinch it together. Pick up a 1.5 inch ribbon. Pinch that together and add it in. And on this time, I'll pick up one of the Valentine ribbons, or the Valentine ribbon. It's the only one I have that's actually just for Valentine. Put that in there. And then the red and white. Okay, so then that cluster will have 4 ribbons and the other will have 3. So I'm going to find the next twist, and then I'm just going to alternate those ribbon clusters all the way around the wreath. I'm going to put a cluster of ribbon in each twist, but they'll alternate. One will have 4 ribbons and the next one will have 3. Okay? I'm sorry, that metal sign is making a noise. Move it out of the way. Sorry. Okay? I'm going to just continue to work around the outer ring, and then I'll move to the inner ring with the same pattern. Now we've gone all the way around it with our ribbon clusters in the inner and outer ring. Now the next thing we want to do is to put a hanger on the wreath, and I have already done that since I used this wreath before. All I got to do is find it. But you can do that with a chenille stem, floral wire, or zip tie. Well, of course, you know I used white, so that makes it hard to see. But anyway, so I'm going to hang that and just out of the way for right now. The next thing we're going to do is add the sign. Okay, so what I was thinking was that we would add the sign over to the right side and then put a big bow on the left. Now it has a hanger, but it also has some little eyelet things on the back, and I'm going to use some floral wire. I'm going to attach that. I may can use the hanger. Well, I may can just use the hanger, so let me try that. I think it's going to sag down if I do. Okay, so I'm going to take some floral wire and just stretch, put through that to use to, I can put some chenille stems in and attach it to the work wreath frame. I've just got some paddle wire. You could also probably stretch it, not stretch, but put a zip tie through there or chenille stem. But I'm just going to use this piece of floral wire, cut it with the wire cutters, and just thread it through there. And then I'll have something to put my chenille stem through to attach it to the work wreath frame. Let's get that a little tighter. Okay. So I've got the wire across the back. Then I'm just going to slide a chenille stem, put it in two places. Okay. Now then, I can put the sign, I'm going to just work my fingers through from the back of the wreath and get the chenille stems and attach the sign to the work wreath frame. Now I'm going to use the Easy Bow Maker to make this bow. You can just hand tie a bow, you can use the Pro Bow, you can use the Bow Dabra, but for this one I'm going to do the Easy Bow Maker. All it is a piece of wood. It has some measurements on it. Now if you buy this from Trendy, we do sell these on Trendy, but when you take it out of the box and put your pegs in, you have to tap them in with a little hammer. You'll think they're not going to go at first, but they will, and they won't. You want them to go in and stay in. You don't want them to be coming out. So I had used less of my Valentine ribbon in my ribbon strips because I wanted to make my bow primarily out of this. So I have this ribbon, and then I have a little bit of the black and white polka dot, and I don't think I've got enough left of the black and white check for anything, but let me see what I've got left. I might have enough left to make a loop. So I've got about 1.5 yards left, so we'll use that piece. But I'm going to start out, this is just going to be a wreath bow, but I want some longer tails because I want it to kind of offset this sign on this side. So I'm going to make about a 16-inch tail, so I'm going to go ahead and measure my 16-inch tail, and I'm going to go ahead and just put that tail in there to start with. I'm just going to fold that and just drop it right down in the Easy Bow Maker and just pull that to me. I think that I'm going to make, have 4 tails hanging down, and I'll trim off these tails. I'll dovetail these when I get finished, but for right now, I'm just going to get the bow made. Okay, so now then I've got 4 tails and I'm ready to start. So this is going to be a little bit different. I will need a zip tie and a chenille stem, so let me go ahead and get that. Now, for this bow, I'm going to take about 3 inches. I'm going to pinch that together, drop it down in the slot, and give it a twist. So I'm going to start with that little short end. Let me zoom in so you can see this a little closer. There, I think that will be better. So let me show you again. I'm going to start with about 3 inches. I'm going to pinch that together. I'm going to drop it in the slot and twist the ribbon and get my right side up. I'm going to make about a 6-inch loop. So I'm going to come to my 6-inch mark, drop that down in the slot, and then I'm going to twist and get the right side up. I'm going to make the same size loop on the opposite side. Okay, so now I've got a 6-inch loop on each side. I'm going to twist. Each time you want to twist and get your right side of your ribbon up. I'm going to make another 6-inch loop, twist, and now another 6-inch loop. So I have 2 6-inch loops on each side. Okay? At this point, I'm going to stop right here and I'm just going to cut my ribbon free. Make sure that little tail stays in there. And I'm going to take that checked ribbon, take a 3-inch tail, pinch that up, drop it in there, drop it in the slot, and make a 6-inch loop. Cover up that little short tail of that Valentine ribbon. Now you can do this lots of different ways. You don't have to do it this way. But I just wanted the tails of my ribbon, tails of my bow to hang down evenly. So I'll make a 6-inch loop on this side. Let's see. I might have enough to do 2 loops. I tell you what I'll do. On this next one, I'm going to drop in and make it about 5 inches. Make it a little bit shorter. Twist. Make this loop about 5 inches. Okay. And I've got a little bit of a tail there. I'll cut that off when I'm done. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Now I'm going to take my last ribbon, that 1.5 inch. Start with a little 3-inch tail. Drop it down in there. Twist. And these loops are going to be 5 inches. So I'll make a 5-inch loop. 5-inch loop on each side. I'm going to do probably 4 loops with this one. So I've got 2 loops on each side. Now I'm going to stop. Now what I'm going to do now I'm going to make a center loop. So I have to twist one more time. And this is just going to be a little short loop. It'll be about, 3 inches or so. That's going to be my center loop and it's going to cover up my mechanics. So right now I'm ready to cut my ribbon free. So I'm going to cut that off. I left just a couple of inches for a tail. I'm going to press this down tight as I can. I'm going to slip my fingers under it. I'm going to press that stack of ribbon down as tight as I can and ease it up off the board. And see, the ribbon is all stacked. Hold that stacked. Sometimes it'll pop loose, y'all. You just have to be careful. Take the zip tie, and I'm going to go right over that last loop to the side there. Bring that zip tie around to the bottom. I'm going to start the zip tie, but I'm not going to pull it tight all the way yet. I'm just going to start it. Now before I pull it tight, I'm going to slide my chenille stem under there. That's what I'm going to use to attach it to the wreath. Now I'm ready to pull my chenille stem tight. Keep your ribbon stacked Pull that that zip tie tight. And then you're going to snip off that end with your wire cutters. And you've got your chenille stem to use to attach it to your wreath. So I'm just going to twist that. All right, now then we're ready to fluff our bow. And I'm going to pull that last little short loop over to cover up that zip tie. And then I'm going to spread out my loops. You know, that little short tail where I ended, I'm going to make it even shorter. I'm going to trim that off. And I have a tail there where I started with that polka dot ribbon. I'm going to trim that off. And I have one more tail that I needed to trim, the red and black. I think I'm just going to leave it alone. But now you're ready to just fluff out your ribbon and get it shaped. Fluff out your loops. Okay, so I've got my ribbon fluffed out, and since I've got some of the polka dot ribbon left, I'm going to go ahead and at least make one more tail. I can make more than one. Yeah. They don't all have to be the same size. But I'm just going to use up that ribbon, fold it in half, and just have some extra tails. And I'll just attach that to kind of the back of the bow using that chenille stem. We just have a few more tails. And now I'm going to use that chenille stem to attach the bow to the wreath. Okay, so the wreath measures about 26 to 27 inches in width. Of course, you could, you can do ribbon lots of different ways. You don't have to make a big bow. You can just do ribbon strips, or you don't have to do ribbon strips. You can put some bows up there. You can position the sign in lots of different ways. All the supplies came from Trendy Tree, and if you look in the video description, I'll give you the SKU numbers of those items. And also, there's a little subscription button. We hope that you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel, and there's a little bell. If you click on that, then you'll get a notice of every time we have a new video uploaded. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.